Buenas noches a todos, bienvenidos a la clase de gramática para compartirles los parámetros de las secciones por videoconferencia. Las secciones se graban, pueden verlas nuevamente en la plataforma virtual. Les solicitamos que por favor silencien sus micrófonos y puedan activarlos cuando quieran hacer consultas o aportes con el permiso del docente. Le pedimos que mantenga su cámara activa. De no poder hacerlo, enviar su excusa por el chat de Zoom. De lo contrario, será retirado de la sección y le serán restados puntos en la colaboración del docente. Mi rol como moderador es facilitar y apoyar en la parte técnica. Consultas por el chat personal o general. Les exhorto a tener bolígrafo y papel para hacer sus anotaciones y aprovechar al máximo esta sección que tiene una oración de 2 horas. Bienvenidos.
Buenas noches.
Hola, profe, buenas noches, bienvenida.
Okay.
Good evening, teacher.
Hello, Manuel. Ok. Vamos a esperar unos 2 minutitos mientras uso la presentación y arrancamos. Okay, students, so today we're going to develop the reading number 1 from the module number 4, that is about the noun classes. Okay. Time to give thanks to God for everything that you received during your day, during your life. Okay. Keep going, never stop dreaming, never stop believing, never give up, never stop trying, and never stop learning. Review of the previous class. So the last class was about the pronouns review and the exploring association. So a pronoun is a word that can replace a noun in a sentence. The noun that is replaced by a pronoun is called an antecedent. So remember to make sure that pronouns agree in numbers, genders, and case with where they appear in a sentence or a clause. And in the case of the exploring association, is a process of attaching these affixes that is referred to as affixation. The affix at the beginning of the word is known as prefix, while that at the end of our word is suffix. Okay, so the root is essential to the development of a new word. Okay. Reading number 1, noun clauses. Noun clauses are dependent clause which function as a noun. Noun clause is a clause or a group of words with a subject and a verb that serve as a noun in a sentence. And nouns are the words used to refer people, place, or things. Okay. So let me use information that is in the platform. Okay, so noun clauses are dependent clause which function as a noun. Since they functions like nouns, the noun clause can be a subject or object or complement, modifying, identifying, remaining, or specifying. Can I mention some other important aspects of the reading? There's about the nominal clause, the substantive clause, the objective clause, noun clause as an object, or the subjective clause, and noun clause as a subject. So, what is a clause? A clause is a group of words that contain subject and a verb that have a relationship. So the relationship is crucial. A clause contains information about what the subject or is doing rather than simply being a random grouping of words. Because a clause expresses an action or state of being. Clause can often, but not always, function as independent sentence. And a sentence can have just one clause or it can have multiple clauses. The only defining characteristic of a clause is that it must contain a related subject and a verb. And clauses play a variety of roles in English, and because of this, there are numerous ways to structure and combine them. Although you use clauses in your speech and writing every day, it can be easy to overlook and intrusive of clauses in English. And you can read about or learn or the clauses are classified, the role clauses play in sentence, in the different sentence, and how to combine clauses to express your thoughts and difference between independent and dependent clauses. Okay, so you can see some examples on the screen. Do you know what time is it? So you can see in simple sentence. Okay, voy a tener la cámara que tengo aquí, problemas con la cámara. Okay. Okay. So for chicken, it sometimes is a noun clause. Try replacing the clause with other nouns or pronouns. For example, and you can see the sentences, you know, what time is it? And the second one, Tom can invite whomever he chooses. I don't understand what you are talking about. And the last one, whether Roman accepts the job or not is his business. So in the last sentence, and you can replace the entire noun plus whether Roman accepts the job or not with the pronoun it, okay? However, it is his business. It's much less detailed as and specific than whether Roman accepts the job or not in his business. Noun clause add important information and detail to your sentence, so you can see the difference. No, so in the first one you can see you can find the first sentence. Do you know? But you need to add something important to try to understand more about the information that you want to bring. Okay, so in this case, do you know what time is it? Or Tom can invite whomever he chooses. And I don't understand what you're talking about. Okay, so to try to understand more this topic, let me show you a video as a reinforced. So wait me some seconds. First one.
clauses. Easy peasy. Hey guys, I'm Kerry. In this video, you'll be learning all you need to know about noun clauses. A noun clause is a subordinate clause that is used as a noun. A noun clause may be used as a subject, a predicate nominative, a direct object, an indirect object, or an object of a preposition. For example, what I need is my own room. In this sentence, what I need is a noun clause being used as a subject. Another example, that Tim Fallon is a talented writer is an understatement. In this sentence, the noun clause, that Tim Fallon is a talented writer, is being used as a subject. Another example, predicate nominative. The happiest time in my life was when we went to Jamaica for the summer. When we went to Jamaica for the summer, the noun clause in this sentence is being used as a predicate nominative. Another example, another course in computers is what the guidance counselor recommended. The noun clause, what the guidance counselor recommended, is being used as a predicate nominative. Direct object. She believes that lost time is never found again. In this sentence, the noun clause, that lost time is never found again, is being used as a direct object. Direct object, another example. The Greek astronomer believed that the sun orbited the earth. In this sentence, the noun clause, that the sun orbited the earth, is being used as a direct object. Indirect object. We will give whoever wins the contest a prize. In this sentence, the noun clause, whoever wins the contest, is being used as an indirect object. Another example of an indirect object. The judges will award whoever has the most original costume a prize. In this sentence, the noun clause, whoever has the most original costume, is being used as an indirect object. Object of a preposition. He has given a speech about how he was elected to the Senate. In this sentence, the noun clause, how he was elected to the Senate, is being used as an object of a preposition. Another example, object of a preposition. Pastor Francis has a kind word for whomever he meets. In this sentence, the noun clause, whomever he meets, is being used as an object of a preposition. Here is a list of common introductory words for noun clauses. How, that, what, whatever, when, where, whether, which, whichever, who, whoever, whom, whomever, whose, why. Note, some of the words in this chart can also be used to introduce adjective clauses and adverb clauses. The word that introduces a noun clause may or may not have a grammatical function in the clause. For example, do you remember who painted Wild Horses in the Bay? The word who introduces the noun clause and serves as the subject of the verb painted. Here's another example. Miss Ella Chen, an environmentalist, will explain what the greenhouse effect is. The word what introduces the noun clause, what the greenhouse effect is. The word what introduces the noun clause what the greenhouse effect is and serves as a predicate nominative completing the meaning of the verb is. Another example. Millicent said that she would be late. The word that introduces the noun clause that she would be late but does not have any grammatical function within the noun clause. In some sentences, the word that introduces a noun clause can be omitted. For example, he told us attendance is improving. The introductory word that is understood, even though it has been omitted. Another example, the judge mentioned he was born in France. The introductory word that is understood. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out my other cool videos. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay glamorous. Bye bye.
Okay. So you can find important information about the types of noun clauses and can be identified that class, and you can find some important examples in the reading. So the that class in English grammar is a subordinate clause that usually begins with the word that, also known as a declarative content clause or that as a complement clause. Okay, a nominal that clause can function as a subject, object, complement, or oppositive in declarative sentences. In some circumstances, especially in less formal speech or writing, that may be omitted from a that clause. Such a construction is called a zero that. Okay. So let me change that. Okay. 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 In the case of the WH clauses, in English grammar, a WH clause is a subordinate clause that's introduced by one of the WH words, as a what, who, which, when, where, why, and how. WH clauses can function as a subject, object, or complement. An important aspect of the WH clauses is that they requires the WH elements to be placed at the beginning of the clause, even if this means changing to the normal order of subject, verb, object, and so on. Okay. And in the case of the if or whether clause, whether and if are often interchangeable. Okay. But sometimes only one of them is correct. To avoid any dangerous mistake, use it to introduce a condition and whether when there are two alternative possibles. If is used to introduce a condition. For example, please contact us if you have further questions. In the case of whether, and if are interchangeable when used to report a yes, no question. For example, I'm not sure whether or if the train has already arrived. So has the train arrived? Yes or not? So you can find some examples in your reading about that that maybe help you to understand more about that. Okay, so this is the information about the three different type of noun classes. So take in mind because you need to develop something with this. And okay, wait, let me find it. Okay, noun phrases. You can find some information about the noun phrases and the reading. Okay, so what is a noun phrase? In the English language, nouns are words used to refer to people, places, or things. A noun phrase is a group of words, usually a noun, in addition to a modifier, such as an adjective, adverb, or article, that function just a noun word, okay? Okay. Grammatically, a noun phrase can be the subject, object, subject, complement, or object complement in the sentence in which it appears. So now, let me share with you the first activity for the class. And you need to answer some questions. Maybe you can use information that you can find in the platform, or if you have the time or the opportunity to find it in the internet, you can do it, okay? So let me share with you the information. Okay, some questions that you need to solve. You can solve this with the information that you can find in the platform, on the information that you receive in the video, all the information that I print to you here in the class. So let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, Manuela, you ready?
Not yet, teacher.
Okay, sorry. Let me know.
I'm ready, teacher.
Okay. Number one.
What is a class? A class is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb that have a relationship. What is a noun clause? A noun clause is a dependent clause that takes the place of any noun in the sentence, whether they are subjects, objects, or subject complements.
Okay.
What is a dependent clause? A dependent clause is not a complete sentence. These clauses depend on independent clauses to clearly express ideas. What is an independent clause? An independent clause is a clause that can stand on its own as a distinct sentence.
Okay.
What is a nominal clause? A nominal clause is a dependent clause that functions as a noun, and so it can be the subject, the object, or a complement within a sentence. The next one is, what is a substantive clause? This type of clauses may be used as the subject or object of a verb, as an appositive or as a predicate nominative. And the last one, what is a noun phrase? A noun phrase is either a pronoun or any group of words that can be replaced by a pronoun.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, as you know, the dependent clause is not a complete sentence. Dependent clauses are sometimes known as subordinate clause. Implies the clauses depend on independent clause to clearly express ideas, as you say, right? So, can I mention some examples? Let me share with you. Okay, dependent clause. When I grow up, I thought he sings well, or the mouse what was hiding. So, to turn this dependent clause into full sentence, you need to combine them with an independent clause. Okay, so it's a combination of the two aspects, right? So when I grow up, I want to be a doctor, teacher, or whatever thing that you want to be. Although he seems well, he hates carol. And the last one, I searched throughout the basement and found the mouse that was hiding. So you need to pay attention to this kind of information that may be confused at the beginning, but if you try to put in practice, maybe you can solve this situation. Okay, so and in the first two examples, the dependent clause comes before an independent clause, and the two clauses are separated by commas. In the first one and second one sentence. And whenever the dependent clause comes first in a complex sentence, it's followed by a comma. Okay. In the case of independent clause, it's a clause that can stand on its own as a distinct sentence, as you know. For example, I love eating cookies, my dog barks a lot, or his top is green. So as you can see, independent clauses are long or complex sentences. The part of complex sentence, but by definition, they are known as a simple sentence. Nominal clauses form when an interrogative or nominal that introduce a clause by serving as a subject of the clause or preceding the clause in order to serve noun role in another structure. So in short, nominal clause can serve any nominal roles: subject, direct object, subject, complement, object of preposition, object complement, indirect object, adjective complement, or appositive. So the first nominal clause form is an interrogative clause, which is an independent clause, beginning with an interrogative. So whoever borrowed my iPad is in big trouble, or I know when the train will arrive. Okay. In the case of the substantive clauses, is a group of words that form part of a sentence and that contain a subject and a predicate. A clause is used as a part of a speech. It's called a subordinate clause. So a subordinate clause may be introduced by a relative or non-interrogative pronoun, relative or interrogative adverb, and subordinate conjunctions. The relative pronouns are who, which, what, that, and the compound relative whoever, whichever, whatever. There you have already been studied, okay? The shift relative adverbs are where, whence, whither, whatever, whenever, who, I, before, after, until, since, as, how, and what. The interrogative pronouns are who, which, and what. Okay, the interrogative adverbs where, when, how, and why. So, adjective clause, in the case of an objective clause, that takes place of a direct object as a verb. And subjective clause, whereas a noun clause is a subject. Okay, and this information maybe you can find in that platform. Okay. So now, okay. So now let me share with you another video.
This is Everyday Grammar. I'm Kaveh.
And I'm Lucia. Tell me, Kaveh, what do these examples have in common? I know where you can mail the letter. I wonder if my teacher knows the answer. What we had for dinner last night was amazing.
Not sure. One is talking about a letter, then we have a teacher, and I guess you really enjoyed last night's meal?
Think of what grammar they have in common.
Ah, yes, grammar. These sentences contain noun clauses. A noun clause is a dependent clause that acts as a noun. And, like any noun, a noun clause can be a subject, an object, or a complement.
Yes, and like all clauses, noun clauses contain a subject and a verb.
The noun clause is where you can mail the letter. Its subject is you, and the verb is can mail.
And notice that the noun clause begins with where. Noun clauses begin with WH words like where, what, why, who, which, whether, but also if.
I wonder if our viewers understood today's topic.
Let's see. And that's Everyday Grammar.
Okay, can I mention another important information that is about the indirect questions? Are a more polite way to ask for information or make requests. We often use them when asking something of strangers or people we do not know well, including coworkers. Okay, so we also use them when asking for favors from friends or when we want to avoid sounding demanding. An example. So in the reading, you can find some information about the object, a direct object, and indirect object. So what is an object? An object is a part of a sentence that gives meaning to the subject's action of a verb. For example, Alice cat the baseball. You can find the subject that is Alice, the verb that is cat, an object that is a baseball. Okay? In the case of direct object, maybe you can answer the questions of whom or what. In the sentence that you can read in the screen, you could determine that baseball is a direct object by asking the questions, what did Alice catch? She caught the baseball. Okay, baseball is a direct object. And relate to the indirect object, the answers, the questions of to, whom, for whom, or for what. For example, Max picked Alice the baseball. Okay, Max is the subject, picked is a verb, and baseball direct object. To whom? To Alice. Okay, that is the indirect object in the sentence. So now I have another practice for you. But first you need to solve the short practice in the screen, okay? So what you need to do here, you need to complete the sentence with noun classes. Obviously, you can find the noun classes here in this screen and you need to put in the correct place, okay? Y solamente vamos a completar poniendo en el lugar correcto.
The first one is, we are so sorry that you lost your job.
Ajá.
The second one is, I wonder who lives in that place.
Yeah.
The next one is, I'm glad that you are here.
Yeah.
And the last one, I can't remember how much it costs.
Okay, great. So now you need to solve the other part of the practice for today. So let me show with you. Okay, explain the uses of the three types of noun clauses. You can find this information in the reading, so let me know when you're ready, okay? Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
So that clauses are used to express like the beginning of the actual clause. They are used as a mark, and so yeah, it's the after that word after that word the actual noun clause begins. The WH clauses, of course, I think the same because they are also like at the beginning of the noun clause, but they are used to express like an interrogative, indirect, indirect interrogative sentences, and if and whether clauses are used like to express like two options when that, for example, if this depending of the second sentence or the second part of the sentence,
Okay.
it will affect like the first one. So that's why why I understand of this topic, because I think it's really difficult to explain it.
Okay, no worries, but we have the idea, so that's good. Okay. Okay. So, let me check. Okay. Okay, so maybe okay, so as you know, noun clause is a clause that plays the role of a noun in a sentence, and you know that. Noun clauses will contain a stop to the verb, but they cannot stand alone in a sentence. This is information like as a conclusion about the topic, right? So, and how to identify a noun clause? A few identifiers will help you locate a noun clause in a sentence. Often begin with one, but not only this words, but you can maybe identify the noun clause with this. Words or sentences that start with how, that, what, so, who, what, and why. Noun clause contain a subject and a verb, but they cannot stand alone. So you know that because you can hear it and write and read all the information in the platform. And you can identify by the dependent and independent classes. Okay, so as a complement, using the subjective that maybe you can find information in the platform too, is appears in the noun class. It's accessible in format writing and in speaking, but it's not common in every language. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. So in conclusion, noun clauses are and difficult in concept, but some of the details won't prove difficult. And this point should be taught explicitly when students are ready for that. Okay, so if you have the time to read all the information in the platform and the previous ones, maybe you can find some important points that or aspects that maybe help you to complete or reinforce all the information that you receive here throughout videos and the information that maybe can I send to you. So in the reading, you can find some important aspects like the type of the noun clauses that you solve and explain here in the class. The noun clause as a subject, comparing singular or plural verbs between noun clauses versus adjective clauses. Subjects of the sentence as noun phrases versus noun clauses. And noun clause is an object of a verb. So maybe not all the topics are solved in the class because it might decided. Okay, time to solve this. Okay, but if you have the time and the opportunity to solve that in the platform, maybe can maybe help you to understand more about it. And if you have the time to solve the exercises that you can find in the reading, that's great. Okay. So now I have for you a last practice. So let me share with you the last video, and then you can solve the last practice. So wait a second, please.
Más que memorizar reglas de gramática, es entender la cultura de los lugares.
Profe, no sé de la pantalla.
Ya se la comparto.
Haciendo con noun clauses.
Our goal for today is to be able to identify noun clauses and how they function within sentences. Now, and as you're reading through this information, make sure you're taking notes and writing down questions that you may have. A noun clause is a type of subordinate clause that functions as a noun. They are very similar to gerunds in the sense that they can play the same roles within sentences. So noun clauses can be a subject, a direct object, or an indirect object. They can also function as predicate nominatives or as objects of a preposition. Just like gerunds, noun clauses cannot be removed from a sentence unless that noun clause is an indirect object, but those indirect objects, noun clauses, appear very infrequently. So generally, a noun clause can't be taken out, otherwise it's not going to leave a complete sentence, which makes them then different from adjective and adverb clauses, which can both be removed. A noun clause will not use commas. That's another way you can distinguish them from adjective and adverb clauses. We need to do a quick review of noun functions. This is the same information that you learned before about gerunds. Remember that a noun that's functioning as the subject is going to begin the sentence. It'll be the very first item at the beginning of the sentence. A direct object follows action verbs. And remember, the formula to find an action verb, or to find a direct object, is to find the subject, find the action verb, and then you ask either who or what. And whatever the answer is to the who or what is the direct object. Remember that an indirect object is always going to fall between the action verb and the direct object in the sentence. Remember, the formula to find an indirect object then is to find the subject, find the action verb, ask who or what to find the direct object, and then to find the indirect, you're going to ask to or for whom or what. And whatever answers that last series of questions is going to be your indirect object. Predicate nominatives, remember that these follow linking verbs only, and that objects of prepositions follow prepositions. They are going to, these noun clauses as objects of prepositions will appear directly after a preposition. All right, we need to practice locating noun clauses in sentences and then also identifying the function of that noun clause. Remember, you need to know the words that signal that there is a subordinate clause in the sentence. Use the list that you wrote down before of subordinating conjunctions and relative pronouns to help you find your noun clauses. All right, so number one, I see the word whatever. That is a word that signals a subordinate clause, and I'm going to underline whatever you want to do. And I'm going to stop because the next word is the verb in the sentence. I know that this noun clause is functioning as the subject of the sentence because it begins the sentence, and the subject is going to stop when it hits the main verb in the sentence. Within my noun clause, my subordinating conjunction is the word whatever, and then my subject is you, and want is my verb for this clause. In number two, some people say that heredity determines personality. I see the word that, which is a signal that I have a subordinate clause. That heredity determines personality. I'm going to continue all the way until I hit the punctuation at the end. This particular noun clause still has a subject and a verb. Heredity is the subject, determines is the verb, and then I need to determine the function of this noun clause. Because it's in the second half of the sentence, it's not starting the sentence, I have to look at the word directly in front of the clause. That word is say, which is an action verb, and a direct object follows an action verb. And if I ask, some people say what? The answer to that is that heredity determines personality. So I know it's the direct object in the sentence. All right, for number three, this one's a little bit trickier. They give whatever we have as our genetic makeup the credit or blame. All right, I see the word whatever, which signals that there is a subordinate clause. I also see that it's in the second half of the sentence, this noun clause, and so I have to look at what's in front of it. Give is an action verb. Now, this means that I have a direct object, most likely in the sentence, so I'm going to say, they give what? The answer to that is the credit or blame, which is the direct object then. So I'm not going to include that in my noun clause. Instead, I'm going to say that the noun clause is whatever we have as our genetic makeup. I'm going to stop at makeup because it runs into the direct object of the sentence, which means that my subordinate clause is an indirect object in this sentence, and I can use the formula to test if it's an indirect object. They give credit or blame to whom or what. They give that credit or blame to whatever we have as our genetic makeup. Within the subordinate clause, the subject is we, and have is our verb. Number four, another influence can be whom you select as friends. I see the word whom, which signals that there's a subordinate clause, and I'm going to say that my subordinate clause is whom you select as friends. I'm going to continue until I hit the period at the end of the sentence. And within the subordinate clause, my subject is you, my verb is select, and then I'm going to look at what is in front of the subordinate clause. Can be is a verb phrase. Can is a helping verb, but be is the main verb, and it's a linking verb, which means that this one is functioning as a predicate nominative because this clause follows a linking verb. Number five, you may be influenced by what you learn from your family. I see the word what, which is a pronoun signaling that I have a subordinate clause, and then my clause is what you learn from your family. I continue till I hit the period. I have the subject you, and I have the verb learn within that clause, and it's in the second half of the sentence, so I need to look at what's in front of it, the word by, which is a preposition, which means then that this clause is functioning as the object of a preposition. Last thing, go to my webpage, take the practice quiz under the clauses and sentence structure unit that's titled Noun Clause Practice Activity. Take the quiz, check your answers against the answer key, and then be prepared tomorrow to ask questions on the notes and on any that you may have gotten incorrect on the homework practice.
Okay, so I have a last practice for today, so let me share with you the practice. You need to solve other questions, and let me share with you the question. Okay. Okay, so let me to answer the question and explain. When you finish, okay? Let me know when you're ready.
La profe se quedó sin internet.
Pareciera.
Démosle un tiempito para que vuelva a inglés. Gracias. Buenas noches, profe. Profe,
Disculpen, tenía un problema con la luz, hubo un apagón y tenía que esperar que se conectara todo.
sí, profe, tranquila.
Okay, Manuel, are you finished to find the solution for the questions?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
What is an objective clause? An objective clause is a clause that takes place of the direct object of a verb. What is subjective clause? A subject clause is a subject of a predicate in the form of a clause. What is an indirect question?
Mhm.
Is a sentence that reports a question and ends with a period rather than a question mark. The next one is, what is a direct object? A direct object answers the question of who or whom and what in a sentence. And the last one, what is an indirect object? An indirect object answers the question of to whom, for whom, or for what in a sentence.
Okay. Okay, Manuel. So with all the information that you received here in the class and information that you can find in the platform and maybe the videos that you can hear and see here today, and you can make your summarize about the class for today. Okay, so let me know when you're ready to start it. Okay.
Okay, teacher. I'm ready, teacher. Teacher, are you there?
Yeah. Okay. Tell me, Manuel.
Okay. We talked about the different types of noun classes that exist. For example, we talked about the dot classes that indicate the beginning of the actual noun class, the WH clauses that can also be used to express indirect questions, and the if and whether clauses. We also learn about indirect questions, direct or indirect objects in a sentence, and that they answer the questions of to who or to what, and for who or for what within a sentence. We also talked about the dependent and independent classes, in which independent classes are most of the cases short sentences that can stand on its own rather than needing another sentence to express a whole idea, which is the case of the dependent classes. And there are other definitions that we learn, but I don't quite remember.
Great information. Thank you for your summary. Okay. So, Manuel, remember that you need to complete all the information that you can find in the platform, all the forms too. ¿Has tenido algún problema con la plataforma, con las pruebas?
No, por ahora no.
Todo bien, las pruebas todo bien. Okay. So if you have any doubt or any question, you can write in a form of consultation in the platform. And if you have another problem with the platform, you can write to the tech support number and or put the question in the consultation forum. Remember that you need to complete all the assignments and you need to do the test. Okay. So if you have any question about the class or you have any doubt or I don't know, that's the time, okay? Or everything is clear.
Not really, teacher. Just I understand the topic. It's just that it's a little difficult to explain it. But I do understand, like most of the topic I understand.
Okay. Okay, so I know that you need to take your time to try to read all the information that you can find in the platform. And if you feel the necessity to complete all the information you can find in the internet as a complement, okay? But the first or the principal information that you need to use as a guide is in the platform, okay? So remember, if you have any question about the topic, you can write in the platform, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Okay, so I think that is all for today. If you have the time to see the next class, the topic for the next class, maybe you can improve your knowledge about it and feel more comfortable the next class, okay? So have a nice weekend and see you the next class. Bye, Manuel.
Bye.
Gracias, profe. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.